Hi everybody. One of your esteemed colleagues has sent me an email asking me two questions. One is, uh, what's the um, most effective way of completing the unit successfully? And I'm going to interpret this question as meaning, what do I need to do in terms of study to pass the unit? My advice is very simple, uh, but perhaps time consuming. As I said in a previous video, it's important in this unit, and frankly in all units and basically in life, to schedule periods where you will study the unit. And timetable them in a regular fashion so that the work doesn't pile up. Okay. So, for example, for this unit, for each week, you could say set aside a whole day where you're not going to do anything but this unit. Or you could say, all right, I'm going to set aside half a day on Monday and half a day on Wednesday for this unit. Or something like that. It depends on you, how much time you want to spend and so on. But that would be, say, the bare minimum. All right. So, what do you do? What you need to do is, one, read the textbook. Read the assigned chapters in the textbook. But don't just read them. You must, while you're reading, take notes. Okay? If you read and take notes at the same time, you will retain much, much more of the content than if you simply read the textbook. Oh my God, I forgot the word textbook. Anyway, so that's essential. Now, what do I mean by take notes? Well, it simply means summarizing what you're reading. And here's a way to think about that, a little kind of technique or trick. What you will do, for example, you always use your headings as headings in notes because most of the time textbook headings are intended to be descriptively useful. Anyway, so you use headings. And then for each paragraph, you read a paragraph, think about, okay, what's the essence of that paragraph? What's the real meat of that paragraph? And then write down that essential point of the paragraph in one line on a piece of paper. You're meant to handwrite. Don't type, handwrite on paper. There's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something about writing by hand on paper that somehow transforms your brain in some way. It has something to do with the brain chemistry, whatever it is. It means that you start to internalize what you're doing. Probably also has something to do with the act of thinking about what you're writing. That's probably the key to it, really. Anyway, and write the essence of one paragraph in one line on in your notes. Go to the next paragraph. What's the essence of that? One line in your notes, and so on, until you've done the entire chapter. And then you'll have a condensed set of notes for that entire chapter, which have, incidentally, involved you thinking about every single paragraph in that chapter. Right? So you will have, in some sense, internalized it, in some sense, digested it. If you do that, I decided, just for my own personal amusement, and I use that term loosely, to do that for your textbook, for chapter 1, for the first 10 pages. And it when I summarized, using the method I just described, when I summarized those first 10 pages of the chapter, it took up 2 A4 size pages, okay, of notes. Here, I'll give you an example. Let's see if I can get it onto the screen. There you go. There's the notes that I made. So that's that. What about, also you'll notice there in the notes that I'd written, make sure that when you come across graphs, you draw the graphs. Right? You hand draw the graphs. That's good practice too. And in hand drawing the graphs, you'll start to figure out what's that all about. You'll start to figure out what the graph means. Just in the act of drawing it. Okay. So that's that. Then there's the videos. So after you've done this, this is my suggestion anyway, you don't have to do it this way, but after you've done that, I would then suggest, then go and have a look at the videos. The videos, mostly by yours truly, but some of them by, a few of them by some other people, are not exactly the same as the textbook, you may have noticed. We are not kind of biological versions of the textbook, just burbling forth whatever the textbook said on your behalf. Rather, the people who present the material in the videos are presenting things from their perspective. And they're emphasizing the things that they think are important. Most of the time it's me, so what I think is particularly important. But I'm not going to cover everything. And I'm not going to cover it in exactly the same way, or present it in exactly, oh my God. And I'm not going to present it in exactly the same way as the textbook will do. Anyway, you do your notes from the textbook. Watch the videos. And see if, when you're just going through the videos, whether it gels, whether it makes sense to you now, because you've read the textbook. Okay? And if that's the case, then everything's A-okay. The alternative is to just do it the other way around. That is, watch the videos first, and if you like, take notes on them, which is more difficult, I think. Yes. I love open plan offices. Anyway, so, what was I saying? Yeah, so watch you could watch the videos first if you wanted and try to take notes. It's more difficult to do it that way, but you could, and then read the textbook and see if it gels. You could do it, so you could do it that way. Anyway, whatever you do, make sure that you're taking notes as you go along, because this is the key to intellectually digesting the material. All right, that's that. The next question that your colleague has asked is, how do I gauge whether I'm being effective in my study or not? So you might be studying along in this way, but you don't know whether you're really getting it right, whether you're really understanding it or not, even though you think you might be. Well, one way to deal with that is by, for example, after you've done a chapter of the textbook, you could then leave it for a day and then go to the back of that chapter of the textbook and do the multiple choice questions at the back and see whether you get them right, to see to the extent to which you've retained them over that 24-hour period. And the other thing you can do is you can go to the Views website and go to the quiz section in the Views website, which is under Assessment 1, and you'll find there practice quizzes that you can do. So I'll just show you that now. So if we go to the Views website, here we are, and we'll go down to Assessment 1. We can see Assessment 1 is the quizzes. Here's the first quiz, and by the way, the first quiz is due on the 9th of December at midnight. Anyway, so we'll click on that. We scroll down a bit and we can see, there's the quiz we've got to do. Scroll down a bit further and voila, practice quiz number 1, which covers chapters 1 and 2. So if you want to practice or you want to test, do I really know the material in chapter 1 and chapter 2, do this practice quiz and see how it goes. Just click on the link and click on begin, and you can start quizzing yourself on how well you know the material in chapters 1 and 2. And what's great about the practice quiz is you can do it over and over and over again, and it's fine. You can see how you go. All right? So that's that. That's my advice for gauging how effective you are in your study. Bear in mind, you can always send me an email and I will, and such as has happened here, but send me an email about the content and I'll respond to you with by making a video, for example. All right, so that's that. One more thing is that some students have asked, when exactly should or can I submit my accessible material? So, for example, the learning guide might say something along the lines of the quiz is due on the 9th of December, but the student wants to know what time exactly is the absolute final date that I can submit something. And the absolute final time you can submit something is on the dates listed just before midnight. Okay, because if you can't submit after midnight because it's the website is set to prevent you from submitting after midnight, and in any case you're just going to turn into a pumpkin, so what's the point? All right, so that's that.